What's really important for me when we're looking at these party division scores are where each base views its own status. And right now, Republicans see their own party as 54% more unified than the past and only 16% less. And Democrats were at 45 to 23. So much less view of their own unity over the course of the last few months. And this is critical going into this election season, partly because it is going to prevent some elements of the Democratic Party from getting fully engaged in their nominee. And the crisis, currently, the healthcare crisis that we have going on in this country with the pandemic is preventing many primaries from happening, right? We're pushing off the primary season. Bernie Sanders refuses to get out of the race and give Biden a clear path. And so the Democratic Party is going to be left in this limbo for months, it appears now, as opposed to many who assumed the Democratic Party was going to be out of the woods here a couple of weeks ago. And what this ultimately means is that there are portions of the Democratic vote who are Bernie Sanders supporters. They tend to be younger. They are more populist, obviously. And they are not going to be behind Biden in the same numbers that Democrats expect young voters to be behind him. Some of them are not going to participate in the fall because of their disappointment over how their candidate was treated by the Democratic establishment. And another portion of them are certainly going to be available to the Trump campaign, given the correct messaging. So the view that this unity will just occur naturally for the Democratic Party solely because of hatred over Donald Trump is, I think, a misplaced one. We have seen time and time again the presidential campaigns make the mistake of thinking that, well, we'll unify because we'll all rally around a common enemy. And when you look at the 2004 reelection for George Bush, the hatred that Democrats had for George Bush at the time did not create that same necessary rally around Kerry effect. Republicans believed that the strong dislike of President Obama in the reelection in 2012 would be enough to get that base unified and turned out. And it's not. It's never enough just to hate the other side. So these Democratic Party lack of unity scores within their own voters is a real problem for the Biden campaign, who will be ultimately the nominee at some point this summer. But it's going to be a real problem for his campaign going into the fall.
The Democratic Party generally has always been more fractured than the Republican Party. There is a broad tent of people who really have no choice. If you think about Black voters, for instance, the Republican Party is always, for the most part, is not seen as a viable choice. So you have even divisions within Black people who are Democrats, some who are conservatives who would still nevertheless never vote for a Republican, those who are moderate and those who are more left-leaning. So it's almost by nature that the Democratic Party will be more divided. And I think this moment in time right now, it makes those divisions very stark. And it's also illuminating the problems that a centrist candidate might have when it comes to voter enthusiasm. There's a Washington ABC poll that came out on Sunday that showed that Donald Trump had almost or over twice as much support among his supporters than Joe Biden, or I should say twice as many were very enthusiastic about his candidacy compared to Joe Biden. So even among Joe Biden supporters, there is still a lack of enthusiasm, and that can be, that can show a significant problem because even Hillary Clinton, who lost in 2016, had more enthusiasm among her supporters.